everyone, I'm Will, and I'm joined by my co-host over here, the Grease. Say hello, Grease.
What's up, everybody? Just breaking news right out of the gate.
Oh, yeah, news you can use.
Yep. Will, his house is going to get repaired.
Yeah, that's going to happen one day.
You know, we don't want to get into the semantics.
Oh, I thought you were going to talk about the other breaking news.
Yeah, my mom bought a third camper in the last 5 years. I just wanted everybody to know she's doing fine.
Does she flip them?
No.
Does she do some upgrades?
I don't think she makes money on
Facebook
them.
Marketplace?
I don't think it's one of those, like, you buy one, you go in and you redo it. She's not going to redo it.
I can't imagine what the depreciation on a camper is. It can't be like if a car, you lose half your value. You spend one night in that bad boy and almost like I had wings. I'm burping again.
I will say that at least it's considered shelter.
Okay.
Like a home.
Like at the very least.
At the very
worst
least.
Case scenario.
$20 a day.
Yeah.
She can make it.
You can get hooked up to things.
Yeah.
What do they call
pellet
those?
gun for squirrels and rabbits.
Yeah.
And $20 a day at the KOA.
Yeah.
Permanent resident. Those are freaky to people.
I got a question. Can you like register to vote and everything if you're a permanent resident at a KOA?
I don't think you
can you claim that as your domicile?
Leave us a comment on the video.
If that can be your permanent residence.
I'm assuming so.
Who's to say?
Well, no, like I'm sure you get like you deliver it to the office and then the office.
Yeah, but are you going to get it kicked back and be like, no, you're at a campground, son.
I don't know.
You can't live there permanently. It says, who says?
I mean, people live in worse.
Right. Yeah, but do they vote?
They need to.
Who's to say? We need a drink before we get into this news you can use.
Hey, how about a cigarette blend, Will?
Yeah, I could use one.
Me too.
All right. I saw a meme the other day and it said that Diet Coke is just a fridge cigarette, and I've never like laughed harder. It's the God's honest truth right
I've
there.
I've seen it with Coke Zero too. I'm like,
that's not as much.
I know.
No,
I'm
that's
just like
maybe a Virginia Slim or like one of those Camel Crushes.
But I was also like, internet, make up your mind.
Yeah,
like,
no,
which
it's
one
definitely
is it?
Diet Coke.
Yeah, it's Diet Coke.
All right.
Diet caffeine-free Coke. Have you ever had that?
Why would you? What's the point?
There's
You're
not
just
one.
drinking artificial coloring.
Yeah, there's not one, and it is gross.
All right, we've got news. We do. Are you ready for the news?
Yeah, we were not correct about Eagle Rare 12 year.
How were we not correct?
Because we thought it was going to be more expensive.
It's not, allegedly.
No.
Well, I mean, according to the distillery.
Right.
We now have some info on it. It is that 95 proof that we talked about. It is 12 years. It is a permanent addition to their portfolio, so not like a once or twice a year kind of situation. And it comes in at an MSRP of $49.99. That is a bang for your buck, Grease. I am liking what I see there. Yep. Obviously, it's going to be $150 minimum at every liquor store you can find it in until the novelty wears off.
Well,
but
except like stores that are cool near us.
Yeah, no. So I'm happy with that. I wonder what the like how much is going to be out in the market, but hopefully it's quite a bit.
Well,
and
straight
we can get
from the mouth of a retailer here in Tennessee,
okay,
who has discussed with the distributor of Buffalo Trace products in Tennessee, Best Brands. Mm-hmm. Apparently, the Old Fitz 7 is coming before Eagle Rare 12.
Well, Old Fitz 7, though, is a different company.
I know.
That is a Heaven Hill
But
company.
I'm just saying it's going to be a minute.
But so that the Old Fitz 7 is
if you're
bottled
looking for
in
that,
bond,
it's coming
Old
sooner.
Fitzgerald 7-year age stated. I am excited about that. I saw some people pick some up at the gift shop, I believe.
Yeah.
In that Founders Club thread.
So I'm pretty sure that Rare Bird and Matt Porter from ADHD Whiskey on Matt Madness, after the fact, we were talking. And
congrats on that win, by the way. In
thank
beating that Joker, Rare Bird.
Thank you.
I still got him locked in my
flopped.
basement.
He flopped. Like it wasn't his fault. He got in his head. But
is it turkey season, Grease?
Yeah.
Because you just got you a bird.
But that they were saying that it's okay.
You know, most of the Old Fitzgerald, like the canters and stuff, to me, I've had a couple that were stellar, but most of them have been okay. They not worth the price tag. Now, an okay product at a lower price point that's readily available, I'll probably get me some. But like even the Larceny stuff that they put out, like their other weeded bourbons in Heaven Hill, haven't been my favorite.
No,
I know people love Larceny, and they love the barrel proof Larceny. It's just not. It's too earthy of a weeder for me. I want it super sweet.
Yeah, I think 9 times out of 10 at Heaven Hill, they can't make a weeded bourbon well.
Great, yeah, just
it can't be great. Yes, because like you said, yeah, I've had 1 or 2 decanters that I was like, this is great.
Yeah. I have one on my shelf that I haven't opened that's a more recent release we should crack an open on here.
Yeah. Larceny, I don't think I've had a single bottle of Larceny that I'm like, I have to go and get.
Yeah, I've liked some of the barrel proof that I've had, but it still just hasn't been like,
I'm like, why would I go buy it?
Thank you. Yeah, I would say it's a bar.
It's a bar.
Like, thank you for pouring it for me. I enjoyed that, but it's not something I've had to rush out and like, oh, next time I see one, I'm getting one.
Yeah.
But I know people love them. Like, that's just my personal taste.
But all of that to say is that as far as looking for bottles coming out, you've got the Wild Turkey 8-year that just came out. You've got the Old Fitz 7 that's coming probably next. And then after that, Eagle Rare 12 might cycle out.
And these are going to be like wide release and ongoing release, not just for the sake of once or twice a year. So that makes me happy. I like seeing that type of product come into the marketplace instead of just just a once a year. Oh, look what we can do. Look what we did. Adding something to the portfolio that I would enjoy makes me happy, especially with an SRP of a 12-year bourbon at $49.99. With inflation, that's probably the $35 Elijah Craig 12-year we used to see. Like if you think about it, that's kind of $50 is probably the new 35 in real dollar terms. So
I agree with that.
That's a good thing. That makes me happy. I know we're going to see the comments already. I can already predict it. They've already been put down like, oh, another bottle I'll never see. The demand is going away. You're going to see it eventually. Yes, it's going to get bought up initially, and then you'll start to see it. I'm certain of this one.
Now, let's not bury the lead here. Okay. Buffalo Trace claims that this is going to be a regular release.
Yeah.
That they are using words that allude to this is going to be obtainable for normal drinkers. I have
permanent addition to the lineup.
Right. Yeah. And I'm sorry, but they're doing the same garbage that they did with Weller. They could have
exactly.
Could have pushed out more. How easy is it to get Eagle Rare 10 the past 5 years?
Except for in our market, it's in a lot of places on the shelf. Eagle Rare 10 is starting to be a mainstay. Here's the other question.
I understand.
Here's the other question.
They aged it up 2+ more years.
Here's the other question. Are they going to do away with the Eagle Rare 10?
I can't imagine they would.
Who's to say?
I can't imagine it.
I do understand what you're saying,
especially when
a little bit of the difference with Weller, though. I will say, like the single barrel and the full proof and the CYPB, 3 of those, other than Special Reserve, and I think even Weller 12, except for Special Reserve in 107, they weren't ongoing releases throughout the year. Now, maybe the way that this is as a permanent member of the lineup, maybe we're reading too much into that. Yeah. But those are, and that's why it was even worse, is that instead of just adding to what is always going into the supply, it was once a year releases that had larger releases than, say, like a BTAC, but it was still a flood at one point. It wasn't like a store was just going to get on a recurring basis an opportunity to pull some of that in. So there is a little difference, but yes, to be fair, you are not wrong that they are just adding to the portfolio, but I do think the Eagle Rare has been a lot easier to get. Once again, in our market, stuff gets bought up pretty quick when anything Buffalo Trace related, but you're starting to see things like Sazerac, Rye, Buffalo Trace and stuff starting to stay on the shelf or be on a shelf when you walk in a lot of liquor stores. So hopefully they can prove us wrong, that it's just going to be more of that, and that they do have enough Eagle Rare 10 to pump out.
Okay. Simmer for 2 seconds.
All right.
One, we haven't been able to get Eagle Rare 10 for a while. They could have pushed out more Eagle Rare 10. They could have easily done that. The 12-year, okay? The 12-year could have even higher age stuff. It's age stated 12 years. So there could be 13 in there. There could be 14 in there. So who knows how long they've been sitting on this stock that they could have pushed out for a great 10-year product. Now, them adding that label, I get it. They've got 500 bajillion barrels aging right now, and they're going to need different outlets to push it out at. So now you're going to get different ages, different proofs, different whatever, exactly like the Weller lineup. But I totally get it.
I would go.
I get it.
It
sucks.
I would go on this angle a little bit differently as well. Once again, this isn't defending. This is talking it through. They did all the Weller stuff at peak demand instead of...
You're not wrong.
So
different situation.
They're doing this as we know that demand is going down. So here's my thought on this. Maybe because Grease, they have been putting more Eagle Rare out. Like I said, our market is awful for whiskey in a lot of ways in the Nashville, Tennessee market, because of our 3-tier system, which I mean a lot of states have, but because of the way a lot of stuff gets funneled to on-premise, rewarding on-premise, yada yada. But I've gone to other states and just seen Eagle Rare on the shelf. Like I was in Kentucky the other day, and it's
there
on the shelf. So to me, this also could be a move. Well, I highly doubt there's a lot of over 12-year barrels they're using for that, because they still need barrels to age up for Eagle Rare 17. So let's just say they are hitting the 12 mark on these.
There's a lot of factors.
They may be thinking, with demand going down, we need something a little bit shiny that people will buy up some of this stock.
Getting ahead of it.
Yeah, so I mean, once again, still not a great play for the consumer, except for I would love a 12-year version of Eagle Rare that's a little bit higher proof. Like, it is kind of something I want. You can't.
Oh, I want it.
Like the single barrel Weller.
2 more years, higher proof.
Single barrel Weller, just a single barrel version of Weller that's a 5 proof more, didn't really get me excited. Yeah. 2 more years and 5 more proof points. I still wish it was 101, but that gets me more excited. Yeah, this is a product I want.
Yeah. Yeah. And in the Weller illustration too, like you're saying, is like the years didn't change. When you go and pick a single barrel, you got the opportunity to do special reserve if you needed more yield.
Yeah, Weller 12 was the exception.
Yeah. Antique. And then the full proof, all the same age, roughly 6 to 8 years.
I don't think anyone would have complained if they added full proof to the Weller lineup and just focused on those 3. Full proof, special reserve, and 107s. When they added single barrel, CYPB, that then it looked like a cornucopia of Weller. And what are you doing here?
Yeah, and I mean, I get it. Okay, CYPB was built based around an app that they put out there, and you could craft your perfect bourbon, and they took that data and they landed on CYPB. I get it. It's a special release. Okay, it's a special release that was prioritized from that data. Now, the single barrel is also, the Weller single barrel is also very unique. And it's not like
it tastes good, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like, you can just start throwing those things out there. That is a specific kind of, profile that they're looking for that might be special, might be a little variant to push out there. Totally get that. However, I would say that you've got to, I don't understand why they necessarily did it except to bring in more of an enthusiast crowd. However, the enthusiasts have been all about Weller for as long as we've been in it. That
was capitalizing on the heat for sure.
Yeah.
This, I feel like there could be different economics at play here now we need to see something that could get some people interested. This is almost like releasing a porcelain decanter. Yeah. Maybe, who's to say?
Honestly, I'm surprised. I'm surprised that we're not seeing a Eagle Rare 6 year, 7 year, somewhere in there. That's 90 proof and $35.
So
I am surprised they freaking went for it with the 12-year higher proof. So you're losing more. You're not adding as much water. You're going to naturally have less. However, the wordage that Buffalo Trace is using makes everybody feel like this is here to stay. Come and get it whenever you want. And that's not going to happen.
Well, everyone knows that's not true, at least at the beginning. But here is a little bit more info, because you were saying, based off our market, they are launching it this month, June of 2025. So as we know, it can take 2 to 3 months, because for some reason, even though we're a border state with Kentucky, our system is so down the line of when Tennessee gets stuff. But they also said they intend it to be an accessible bourbon that consumers can expect to see released at regular intervals. So one, that tells me it's obviously going to be on allocation, because it's going to be highly wanted. Yeah. But I feel like that's maybe monthly, quarterly releases of it sent out instead, but not as once or twice a year, regular intervals and accessible. Their goal is for this to be on shelves, whether they can pull it off, whether that ends up panning out, whether people may just be so burned on Buffalo Trace in general.
I think they're wanting it to make it to shelves.
Right.
I think that's the key. I don't think any business wants stuff sitting on shelves.
Yeah.
But I will say this in reference to earlier when we were talking about the old Fitz 7. That is actually, and that could tie into the Eagle Rare. But at first, it is allocated. But the plan is to continue pushing that product out to eventually not be.
Well, and also allocated, meaning like when they start getting it into the market, eventually they can build up critical mass, maybe, and eventually it may not be. It's only a 7-year-old bourbon. Right. At Hempton Hill, that's not remarkable. Like they probably have plenty of weeded bourbon. They can do it at 100 proof that they can put out into the market at 7 years old. I think any new release in this climate from a big brand that has marketing behind it, that has a pretty label, is going to be naturally on allocation at the beginning. Whereas Jim Beam, if you want white label Jim Beam, you can go and just say, send me however many cases I want, right? Like, once again, that allocated term has, I think there's layers to it, but it's not going to be that they have so much at launch that stores can just say, give me 4 cases.
Right.
The allocation has to be so that they can get it into the marketplace. That doesn't surprise me.
Yeah. Yeah. It's distribution here in Tennessee throws a wrench in a lot of different things. We are behind for sure. And by the time, if you're behind in something and it's not like a uniform release, like you've got people that, will come into Tennessee for such products, at least the higher stuff. My question to you, Will, is have you seen a big brand offer in the last 4 to 5 months, offer any kind of like out of the ordinary, high end special edition release at a high dollar amount?
Well, it depends on what you consider big brand.
I'm saying Buffalo Trace, Wild Turkey, Four Roses, Heaven Hill.
Like there's a new little book, like create something completely new.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't think I have. Obviously, I've seen people like Bardstown and some of what I would consider like the mid-tier, not the real small operations, but I feel like mid-tier brands are still doing that quite a bit. Yeah. But
I think
big dogs,
that's a product. I think that's a product of the market coming down. They're like, let's rethink this. Let's reevaluate. Let's shift some things around, because we don't want to come out with something that is high priced and then, it's hard for them to come down. Look at Peerless coming in to the market several years ago with a 2-year rye for $120.
Right.
Like that sat for a really long time. And now I don't even really see too much peerless at like tasting events.
Yeah.
Like, yes, I see it in the stores, but nobody is like coming to be like, dude, check this out. Which back in the day for $120 price point, you would come to a whiskey tasting party or whatever, whiskey hang, and people would be like, holy crap, dude, thanks for sharing this.
Now their prices have come down. Their double oak stuff is really good. I mean, they're still putting, putting stuff out. And
they've got good whiskey. I'm just saying that particular release was not well received. And now that was a shift up. This is a shift down. I can't imagine big brands coming out with a special release like that.
Yeah.
Like a $250 like 8-year rye from so-and-so. Like, well, I mean, that's not going to,
the Russell's Reserve. We'll talk about that and we can talk about it next. I had something else, but I was going to save it. But I mean, Russell's Reserve 13 is back. They just announced the new one this year. So it was a year-long break. Obviously, yeah, it's an annual release. This article is interesting, but it's bottled. It's the highest proof they've had, 123.8, 13 years old, obviously, and it's $200.
Dude, those are,
but that's where
those were established prior.
That's what I mean. Like, I'm not seeing necessarily a brand new creation. Like, there's a new little book that's coming out. That's a little bit more expensive, things like that. But I don't consider that new.
It just lends to older whiskey being in lower age typical products.
Yeah.
Which,
how about that Jack Daniel's 14? Well, I mean, like, that's probably the most new.
Well, that's
thing.
That's a campaign.
It's a throwback, but also
right.
But it's 14-year-old Jack Daniel's at cask strength, and
but it's also not $200.
$50 cheaper than the Russells. So, I don't know. I like that. I like where that price point's at.
Yeah, I think Buffalo Trace is trying to get ahead of it. It's very fortunate for everybody that product exists. Will we get to try it anytime soon? Lord only knows. Russell's 13. What batch is this coming out? Because you said they stalled.
No, this article that was talking about it, obviously they wrote it off the press release, but they're saying it's back in summer 2025 after a year-long break. I'm pretty sure it was just a once-a-year release.
An annual release.
And correct me if I'm wrong, maybe they did 2 1 year, but I thought it was just once a year, so it's not really a hiatus or a year-long break. It's an annual release. But this is, it doesn't say in this article what batch it is.
I can't remember.
But it's probably the 4th.
3rd or 4th.
Yeah. And I think it's probably the 4th. And it's 123.8 proof. Great proof. That's going to be a delicious whiskey.
We have had them.
Yeah.
They are very, very good. They're very good.
This is
$200 for a 128 proof 13-year-old wild turkey. That's not out of line. Too bad.
Yeah. This is weird.
What happened?
Because this says the 2024 edition Russell's 13 will be available at liquor stores, online, and at Wild Turkey's Visitor Center. The spring 2025 release and all subsequent releases will now be labeled with year and season in which they were released for easy identification.
Oh, just so that people know what batch it is?
Yeah, but why does it say will be available? But this is like they conflated 2 articles because the first release.
Is this article from 2023, Will?
No, this is from today. Literally today.
That's pretty good. We're current. This is news you can
No,
use.
but that's okay. So the first release was 2021. And then after a break in the 2024 to focus on the award-winning 15-year-old expression, it's set to return this summer. But then they're talking, I feel like they just meant to put, yes, they just put 2024. So what it reads like is, and I love how we're doing this on the show, so you can figure out how
you
much
don't need
prep
to
we
be
did.
proofing articles.
No, but it sounds like they just meant to put 2025 edition, and that there was no. So it's actually a 2-year break because they didn't release. If they didn't release
15,
one,
yeah.
So they said a year-long break.
Well, it had a 23, didn't have a 24. Now you're going to have a 25.
Yeah. Okay. This writer either needs to be fired or Dylan, or update your Chat GPT to get stuff correct because I don't think you wrote this.
Dylan.
All right, final news story we've got for today before we get to the 15, which we're going to drink something neither of us had, and I've actually been a real good boy.
You didn't open it.
I haven't opened it. I wanted us to drink it together.
Good boy.
You know how many times I've been like,
You're a good boy.
what if I did my own review? But I haven't.
Whiskey bugger. Whiskey review.
Hey guys. Belle Meade Bourbon reemerges in Nashville. This is something
One of our favorite brands.
we talked about, the TTB label that came out, and we were confused, and we tried to figure it out, and then we saw that Nelson's Greenbrier was having a layoff, and we're like, wait, are they bringing back the brand? But they're laying off some production staff, so we were confused. And then we saw
we got a private invite.
there was
to
a kind
release,
of a small release,
a launch party near us. We weren't able to go.
Yeah,
but it was to honor the relaunch of Belle Meade Bourbon.
So here's what went down. Charlie and Andy Nelson, they resurrected the family brand of Nelson's Greenbrier back in 2009. And
a while back,
the flagship brand was Belle Meade Bourbon. And they put a lot of time into it. It was delicious whiskey. Some of the single barrels that came out of the single barrel program were unbelievable. But it was all sourced MGP while they worked on ramping up production to have their own whiskey. They released their own whiskeys. And then Constellation Brands initially took a small stake in it and then took over majority stake back in 2021, I want to say. It was
right.
2019. 2019.
Pre-COVID.
Yeah, they took majority control, and then the Nelson brothers actually phased out and had nothing to do with it anymore. And then Constellation Brand did something that we were kind of sour to, and they kind of shelved the Belle Meade brand, and they made the Nelson brothers bourbon be the name of the whiskey.
Yep. Nelson Brothers Reserve took over Belle Meade
Classic, Nelson Brothers Classic. So Andy and Charlie have gotten the Belle Meade brand back, and they are relaunching it. And it's first going to be available here in Nashville, and then they're going to try to expand throughout Tennessee and then see where they go from there. But this is kind of going back to the beginning from them.
I feel like they've got a quick Rolodex to get distro national.
Yeah, and I mean they're very involved in local whiskey world. They're well known, but they are reimagining Belle Meade. So when we saw the TTB label, that wasn't coming from Constellation, that was coming from the Nelson brothers as they relaunched the Belle Meade brand. Same logo, same label. It's gorgeous. I love it. It makes me so happy.
Yes.
But instead of it being exclusively MGP like the original runs were, it is going to be a blend of high rye mash bill, which is what it was before, MGP, and whiskey from Bardstown Bourbon Company. And they're going to have two initial expressions, the classic and the reserve. The classic is 90.4 proof, and the reserve will be 108.3 proof. The classic, aged between 6 and 8 years in that blend. Reserve, 7 and 10 year blend. I'm all in. All in on this. Charlie and Andy Nelson bringing the heat.
Yeah, we have said this previously, and I will say it again. And it's because we love Belle Meade so much. Yeah. We gave them so much hype. They needed the hype. It has to be good.
It does have to be good.
It has to be good. It doesn't have to be great. It needs to be good.
That Belle Meade Reserve,
or they are back. That brand will take a step back because it's already taken a step back with it not being in the forefront for people.
The Belle Meade Reserve was I always had a bottle of.
Yes,
always had a bottle of. It was so good, being 108 proof. 107, I always say, is like my perfect proof. At 108, it was great. You could drink it neat. Great flavor, high rye, delicious. It was all MGP at that point. But then I also didn't care, and it was about $60 at the time. Didn't care about making a really delicious old fashioned with it, throwing it in a cocktail. Always had at least a bottle of that on hand. And then if they can get a single barrel now if it's a blend,
Right.
The single barrel program may not be a thing unless they're just selecting really choice barrels that they're releasing. I don't know if they're looking to get into that. But it makes me happy they're bringing it back.
I've always wondered if and maybe Belle Meade could do this. I don't know, but you blend it, but then you double oak it. So you put it in a barrel for 8 more months, and
So
you have
thing.
a single barrel program that picks those barrels that have the blend inside those barrels.
Yeah, so it's a double oak, but also you're going to get more fill, your yield on that, because you're going to fill the new barrel up.
Yeah.
Right? You're not, so the yield is going to be really high. So there's going to be pricey. That's going to be a pricey program.
Well, I mean, there's ways around that. They could offer that like, yeah, we'll take that and throw it into a batch if you only want half the barrel. I don't know.
They're going to batch a double oaked when it's not.
No, all right, you want that barrel? Cool. The rest of this, we'll either release it in the gift shop or we'll throw it into a bigger reserve batch that's going out.
Well, makes me happy.
Does.
Doesn't say, they say some talk of building a distillery is still a way off. But they are wanting to foster community within Nashville as their primary focus out of the gate. So I expect we'll see events. I feel like you said their Rolodex and connections, you're going to start seeing it a lot of places.
I want to go somewhere and hang out. Like build.
I don't know.
Build it, we'll come.
Maybe you should be looking at something in August. Who's to say?
Well, it is to say. It's out there. Leiper's Fork is opening a downtown Nashville location.
No, that's not what I'm talking about at all.
You talking about the downtown Franklin location?
No.
Who are you talking about?
Talking about an event in August.
Southern Whiskey Society?
I don't know. Maybe if you want to see some Belle Meade, maybe you won't. Who knows?
You have talked to Tiny recently.
Who knows? I am so excited about that Leiper's Fork location, though.
I know.
It's on Main Street, downtown Franklin. It's called Leiper's Fork House of Spirits. You know I'm such a stan for the Leiper's Fork brand and will do whatever for Lee Kennedy. I cannot wait. It looks really cool. On Saturday, I looked inside and you can see there's like aging barrels all along the wall.
There is movement. Let me go ahead and tell you something. Will and I have been staring at a window with like coming soon graphics on it for about 3 years.
Yeah.
So it's been a minute. How long has it been?
It's not been 3 years.
Minimum 2.
I don't know.
You do know.
I don't know.
You do know.
Time passes slowly when you yearn for something so lovely.
Just text Lee.
All
Okay,
right.
ask him.
All
Here's
right.
the deal. Lee's a looker. Okay. I've always wanted to be in his presence. Okay. You put a storefront in downtown Franklin, which, by the way, downtown Franklin, a lot of our supporters have come into town. We've hosted events here. It is a blast downtown. Bars, restaurants, shopping, a new hotel down there that is just very high end and nice. It's clean, amazing. Let me go ahead and tell you something. If the ladies are like, I want to go to White's Mercantile, or I want to go to Philanthropy or Architects Anonymous or whatever it's called, we can go and sit at a distillery location.
I like White's
not
Mercantile.
a bar that has their brand product that is sourced. That's all I'm going to say.
He's throwing shade. Hey, let's go to the 15 because we got Wild Turkey 8-year. We both not had it because I was a real good boy. Hit the music.
Hit it.
And we're back from the 15.
Some say we never left Will, except we did have to cut in between because Will said a wordy dirt.
All right. This is
I haven't said that in a long time.
I've never heard that.
A wordy dirt?
This is Wild Turkey 101, aged 8 years. This is something I've been really excited about trying. It's going to be a wide national release. This is going to be one that's supposed to be on the shelf. It is $45. I bought this in Kentucky. It hasn't hit the stores here in Nashville yet.
Soft
But it's coming.
spice on the nose.
Let me read it because I like reading it.
Okay.
This remarkable 8-year-old let me start over.
Yeah, don't do that.
This remarkable 8-year-old Kentucky straight bourbon has been expertly crafted by the legendary father and son master distiller. Master Distiller Team Jimmy and Eddie Russell, using Kentucky limestone purified water and made from the finest corn, malted barley, and rye available. This bourbon has been aged for 8 years in classic number 4 char American oak barrels, giving it a richer, deeper, and bolder taste. Complex notes of vanilla, caramel, and oak and spice combine to create a uniquely satisfying whiskey experience. This is how bourbon is meant to be. Bold, genuine, and no compromises. $45. Pretty excited about it. Smells great.
It's a soft spice nose.
Yeah.
I love that nose. I love that nose. What do we got? What? Just let me saunter over here. What is 101 typically? Around 6 years?
Yeah, I think 6 to 7. It's because it's a batch, but it's but obviously they don't really have limits on it because it's not age stated. But I think it's typically around 6 years. I love just standard 101 because it's really cost effective and it still tastes great. But having this 8-year age stated, $45, I think is a good price. I can't wait to try it and let you know if you should buy it.
That tastes 85 proof, not 80, maybe 90.
Oh,
that is a fresh crack. And that is
so much cinnamon.
That feels like you swallowed a butterfly on top of a cloud. It's so light.
But not mouthfeel light, just not like punchy. But it has a great mouthfeel and got some. The finish on it lingers.
Yeah, the only thing shocking to it is it tastes good. Like I'm talking about. Like, oh, that's shocking. Like, oh, that was astringent, or oh, that's over oaked, or oh, that's way young.
This is going to be a standard in my house.
I can't imagine why it wouldn't. Now they're not everywhere, but
it will be though.
Yeah.
That's it's just slow rolling out. Like
the fact that it was on shelves right out of the gate. Yeah. Makes me believe that they've got a lot of this stuff coming out. And
now I did stop into a liquor store in Bowling Green at Liquor Barn because I thought it was going to be a guarantee they'd have it.
Yeah.
And they seemed like they hadn't restocked their shelves yet for the week. Like it may have been just an odd time, or maybe I wasn't looking in the right spot because there was a lot of shelves to go through, but I didn't see it there. Okay. And I was also trying to get back on the road. So
here's the deal.
I'm not saying it wasn't, but then when I went into the liquor store in my parents' town, it was stacked all the way back on the shelf. Like it was there.
I saw it at a liquor store about 5 miles away from here that it was on the shelf for a couple of days and then it was gone.
Yeah.
So it was there.
That's kind of what I feel like is going to be the case while people get used to it existing. Yeah. Like they're excited, they want to try it. And so,
well, the best part about it is nobody's flipping that bottle.
No one's flipping it. But then on top of that, people are going to, if you go into a liquor store and they have it right now, you're going to buy one. Yes. If you go into the liquor store the next week and you already have one, you're not going to buy another one.
Right. It's there.
So that's where they will start to build up the thing. A lot of people are going to just buy it.
I call that layaway.
Layaway.
Yeah. It's like, I know that's going to be there that next week. I don't have to I don't have to make a payment right now.
Right. Yeah. 100%.
I can defer my payment to next month.
Yeah, but I feel like this is always going to be on my shelf now. Like this is one that is again, it's going to be great in a cocktail, 101 proof. Wild Turkey Old Fashions are a go-to, but I mean, my goodness, the fact that you can just drink, I can drink regular Wild Turkey. I always have Wild Turkey at my house. I will replace the standard with this.
This would make a killer Manhattan.
Oh yeah, because it's high rye.
Yeah,
high spice.
The Manhattan is probably where this lives in a cocktail. Otherwise, I feel like I'm cruising on over to the regular 101 and save a few dollars.
I don't know because I'm
like it's very profile.
Well, here's the thing though. I'm probably just gonna stop buying the regular 101. Because I always have Wild Turkey 101 in my house for those reasons.
Yeah.
Because it's versatile.
I just ran out.
I feel like I will pay. And actually, Wild Turkey 101 in our market can sometimes be higher price than it should. Like it's like $21 to $25 in like Kentucky. Sometimes you see it for $30 in a liquor store.
It's 30 plus here.
So for $45, that is a great thing.
I meant to hold this up when we were talking about Old Fitz 7.
I still have a couple of those.
This is, dude, like, I bet this is delicious.
That was, I used to go through those quite often because you could only get them in Kentucky, the handle.
We got them in downtown Bardstown.
And I would buy them whenever I'd go visit my parents because they were $20.
Yeah.
That was a $20 handle, 100 proof Old Fitz, bottled in bond, probably 4 to 5 years. But that was good. Mm-hmm. I feel like their weeded bourbon profile shifted when they started making Larceny. Yeah.
I wish I knew the details behind that.
Maybe it just needs to be younger. Their weeded bourbon. Maybe it doesn't need age on it. Ugh. Maybe it doesn't interact with the wood. I don't know,
dude. Have you seen the color of this?
I know.
Do y'all see how dark this is?
I know,
like,
it's so good.
I mean, like,
I think I have one left of those two. Actually, I think I have an open one and one unopened left. It was great. I would drink that neat all the time. Yeah. All the time.
Yes.
And I never felt, and then sometimes it feels like, I'm not going to finish this. Dump it out. Because you're not wasting. I mean, the pour was 5 cents.
Well,
I mean, if I had like 8.
You can't put a price on a good buzz.
Yeah, you can.
No.
Well, you can put a price on the next morning.
You're not wrong.
I know.
Wrong. All right, Buy Bar Pass, Kentucky, Wild Turkey, 101, 8-year-old age stated, Will.
Easy buy.
It's an easy buy. It's not even close.
I'm going to drink a lot more of this.
Yeah, dude, this has like by the pool vibe if you want to. I kind of like a lot of sweeter stuff by the pool though.
Yeah, and that's the thing with Wild Turkey.
So soft.
Is because there's with the Dirty Bird, the original, the high rye, sometimes in the summer almost felt a little aggressive, if you know what I mean. So, but I mean, Wild Turkey for game day mix. Now that's the thing. I don't know. I wouldn't make game day mix with that.
No,
for tailgating.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's where I draw the line.
That's a regular 101.
That's where I draw the line. That's where you get in the Dirty Bird.
I mean, you could even go worse than that and just do benchmark.
No.
Yeah, you could.
We have income.
Okay, well, for nostalgia purposes, you could go with
benchmark. But we're adults now.
We are adults.
We're too old for that.
I literally have said that to myself.
That's good. You need to say it more often.
Well, I'm just like, you know
You're
what?
You're older than me, and no one would know that.
I could.
Except for the beard.
I could buy that, and I could use it for so-and-so and so-and-so and so-and-so. But I'm also like, or I could get this that is not in a plastic bottle and higher aged and delicious for like $15 more. I'm not to that point of, I am far removed from that point of I cannot stomach to pay $15 for it to taste good. I'm just looking for the buzz. That was us back then.
Yeah. I thought you were saying that's still you now. And I was like, that's not good.
Oh, no.
That's a problem.
I'll be honest
with
you.
Meeting.
My drinking is probably in the podcast history.
All-time low.
All-time low.
Yeah.
But, you know.
And your beard, all-time gray.
But we're hanging more with whiskey people. We haven't drank much over the past couple of years. Are you using the royal we? Like just no, like I'm just saying, like, you know, we got together.
We haven't done like a good old fashioned bottle share in a long time.
Well, we sure did.
When?
For the Jack Daniels event.
Well, that wasn't a bottle. Oh, wait, never mind.
Yeah,
you're right.
It was here. Yeah. We did that. I've gone to liquor stores. I'm hanging out with liquor store owners now. I'm hanging out with people that meet up at a liquor store. I'm hanging out outside in like whiskey groups more now.
Yeah, it's because you're healthy.
Well, I'm just saying I'm getting re-energized. I'm waking up to the notion that the whiskey industry isn't in the crap. That's what I'm waking up to.
And the people aren't in the crap.
No.
A lot of those people are moving on.
The people were always great. There was just something that brought us to a community level, and that was whiskey. That was us being able to, having a spider web of people meant that a lot of people were able to individually get certain releases, and when we come together, we could all try them. Mm-hmm. That went away unless you had, expendable income just to buy it at secondary.
Right.
A lot of that went away. A lot of your relationships with retailers went away. A lot of your relationships with, your single barrel program, your ends at Buffalo Trace and Wild Turkey and all that stuff, all that kind of stuff phased away. And it really left us in a position of like, this isn't fun for me anymore.
Right.
I feel like, at least in my own soul, that I'm coming back around and re-engaging in that. I don't necessarily know. I get the feeling that other whiskey drinkers are having the same situation right now. I don't 100% know. But the temperature of the environment outside in the whiskey enthusiast world that have been butthurt for a few years now,
right?
I think they're re-engaging, and there's some I don't know, interest there.
Yeah,
they're positive. They're excited.
I went into a liquor store the other day to grab a case of beer and a Leiper's Fork bottle and bond rye.
As you do.
Because it's one of my favorite ryes. But as I was walking out, they had the new single barrel 100 proof Four Roses with the red label behind the counter. And so I didn't ask about it because I was in a hurry.
Like, why would that be behind the counter though?
Well, and that's what's interesting. It was the same store I bought that Isaac Bowman or J. Smith Bowman at that wasn't that expensive. And so it may have not been that expensive, but they only had 2 of them. So I'm wondering if it was just because their allocation was 2 bottles.
Oh, okay.
And so they're putting it back there because they also had Elijah Craig 18. I didn't ask how much any of it was because I was in a hurry. But once again, it was seeing stuff behind a shelf and in Tennessee.
Because I'm sorry,
Stuff
if they're
just
price
wasn't
gouging
behind.
a Four Roses single barrel 100 proofer,
Yeah.
like they are so out of touch.
Well, they didn't on that J. Smith Bowman, but just because they only had one of them, they just had it behind the counter. I think maybe also so it didn't take up shelf space.
Okay.
And
yeah,
then
you
you
can't
could
dedicate
see
a
it.
whole row. You can just
And
put it.
what are
behind
you more likely to buy? One in a sea of them, if you don't know what you're looking for, or if it's right there in front of you and like, oh, that's special. What is that?
Yeah. What
and if they only have 2, and maybe they
Okay.
raise it 10%. I don't know. Like, but
I really hope it's not price gouged.
I'll probably go back. We're having like a big cookout this weekend, and I'll probably go back to get some like beer and stuff, and I'll probably ask at that point.
Are
And
you
if
going to make
it's-
some burgers for all of us on Friday?
Yeah. Yeah, you can come. All right, folks, that's going to do it for the podcast.
We did it, dude.
If
we
you
did it.
want to celebrate with us on a recurring basis on the internet, go to patreon.com/the podcast and sign up for the town hall or virtual bar night level where you get to hang out with us on fun Zoom calls where we all drink and make fools of ourselves and say things on there we would never say on here and tell stories on there we would never tell on here. So if you want to have some real fun, go check that out, patreon.com/the podcast.
And being a part of that community legit keeps this thing going. We thank you so much. If you've been a patron for a really long time, you know how much we love you. We know how much, we what am I trying to say? We
Love you.
Well, I'm trying not to be uber. I don't want to sexualize it, but it's very.
Just love you would have done.
I love you.
Yeah.
We love you. But if you want to be a part of that too,
You can.
go to patreon.com/the podcast.
And hit the like and the subscribe because we don't know jack.
We'll drink it.